the Detroit Red Wings, a team that had some stretches, had some runs last year, and ended up, in the end, missing the playoffs on a tiebreaker. They were part of that big group and mess of shit that was trying to get in on that second wild card spot last year.
I think that there's two things that need to be mentioned. The Detroit Red Wings missed the playoffs in about as close as you can to making the playoffs. Do you remember the last game of the season where I think it was the last game of the season, but they were about to be like eliminated, and then they tied the game like 2 times in the third period. It was the most electric game to keep themselves alive that I've ever seen, and then they ended up missing anyway. But the other thing that needs to be mentioned is that every team was trying to not make the playoffs last year in the Eastern Conference on the bubble. So can't give them too much credit for almost making the playoffs.
I need to note, I'm just realizing now that Pete is dressed head to toe in Boston Bruins stuff for this Atlantic thing. I was going to say it's just because he's wearing Atlantic stuff, and I was like, Pete's a Bruins guy. I would have worn, I have a lot of Red Wings stuff because I love their logo. I was going to wear it, but Sean, keep this camera on. I've gained weight. It's the only reason I'm not wearing Red Wings stuff. So we would be mixing it up a little more. It's just fat boy over here.
That's why we made the graphics so chunky, is to hide your gross body.
Oh, thank you, Sean. That's so nice of you. Okay. We have an important podcast announcement that we will make during this Red Wings preview, and that is that we are a Lucas Raymond podcast. You probably could have put that together last year, but I don't think we ever declared it. Every time Lucas Raymond came up, we were like, man, he's so good. Or did you see him hit himself in the face with his opponent's stick in order to draw a high sticking penalty? But what an explosive young player, continuing to break out, just an absolute stud.
I'm going to steal the words right out of your mouth, because you said earlier this week, he has got to be like one of the most underappreciated stars in the NHL, but not for long. And I think that this is the official coming out party for Lucas Raymond this season.
Good. Okay. I feel good about that, because maybe that thought would be met with, maybe he's underappreciated. I feel like when you say someone's underrated, people are like, oh, that means you just found out about him.
Well, then you're not paying attention enough.
I feel like I don't hear Lucas Raymond's name as much as I should. And he's an absolute stud. And part of why I really like this top 6. I mean, they add Vladimir Tarasenko, which got, at the time, got a big why from me, because I don't love the contract. But Patrick Kane returns, and you're looking at some sort of version of Larkin, Comper, Kane, Tarasenko, DeBrincat, Raymond. If that's your top 6 in no particular order, they've got a really good top 6. So I'll take that. Raymond, 31 goals last year, 72 points. As of this recording, does not have a contract, but that's going to happen. They got to figure out him insider, but those things are going to happen. I would say that my story with the Red Wings right now is, do they get past being a misses the playoffs on a tiebreaker team? And just how big of a star does Raymond become?
Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page, so if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you.
My 2 biggest concerns here, they're not strong enough down the middle. Dylan Larkin, we saw last year, very good 1C. If he's not himself or he's not in the lineup, this team becomes a fucking disaster.
I'm more of an Andrew Kopp guy than you, though. So we do. But if that's entering the top 6 conversation, then
they're like kind of in.
Do either
Bruins,
of us become them?
They're like in like Bruins-ish territory from last year, where it's like, but they have one top 6 center. Then you've got a couple guys fighting to prove that they can be a top 6 center. I don't know how much stock I'm buying and believing in that they can. I just think that they need another like really good center to help push things down and to help take a little bit of weight off of what Dylan Larkin has to carry down the middle for that team. And I also think the defense stinks.
So my concern with them is that a bad defense got worse. They were 24th in goals allowed last year. Not great. Their penalty kill was okay, middle of the pack. But off of that, you subtract Shane Gostisbehere and Jake Wallman, two players who are not amazing, but you need defensemen, and theirs aren't terrific. So I think that if anything is going to bite them, it is that those defensemen who are playing...
Half of their defense right now, maybe more than half, is comprised of, oh, that guy's still in the league?
Jeff Petrie, Jeff
Petrie, Olli Mata, Eric Gustafsson. Like, at least half of their defense is, that guy's still around.
Maybe that's why they haven't signed Mo Sader yet. He's like, everything you fucking got, you need people like me. So I'll be honest, I don't know if they're better or worse than they were last year. I think that either. Kane is, we just looked this up. Kane is 35?
Yeah.
Something like that. Was a point-a-game player-ish for them last year, so absolutely still has it. Again, I like their top six a whole lot. I don't like their defense. I don't really like their goaltending. So they're just going to have to score their way out of trouble. And they were a top 10 team in scoring last year. Does Tarasenko help juice that up a little bit? Because they didn't really lose anything offensively. They just added.
I think they're going to be like a average team that is not good enough for the division that they play in.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it. But I'm going to like watching them.
Yeah.
That's a way that I'll put it. I'm going to like watching them, and I'm going to root for them because I just love their fucking imagery and their logo and their fans so much.
Yeah, but that's almost like the worst place to be, is just hanging around in the middle. And like, yeah, they've got young pieces and stuff, but it seems like they're trying to compete and make the playoffs. But what they're putting together right now is there's just too much fucking nonsense happening on that roster and in that lineup.
Well, there's not enough nonsense happening on the ice because, as I mentioned, they did trade Jake Wallman, who would just do some real shithead stuff on the ice, and that makes them a little less exciting, which bums me out. I want the guy that does the gritty. Granted, as it was happening, I was like, should we be doing the gritty in the NHL? But then once the team trades their gritty guy, I'm like, why would you do that? You had the gritty guy. Are you going to miss this stuff? But I'll say, while they're missing some shenanigans on the ice, they still do have the best promo game of any team. They're who's our graphics queen?
Michelle Sotheby.
Michelle Sotheby, still making incredible graphics, but they're also still churning out gravy boats that are amazing. Zamboni gravy boats. They got a Grateful Dead night coming up this year. They have amazing specialty stuff. So they're still going to be a fun, exciting team.
And they didn't get rid of all their nonsense completely, because big Lucas Raymond podcast. Lucas Raymond set the trend last year of smacking yourself in the face with an opponent's stick and then pretending like you got high sticked. Love
He's just the best. What an absolute stud. We got to get Lucas Raymond on the podcast. We'll effort that. That is the Red Wings, though. Let's move on.
Didn't mention the goaltending, by the way. The goaltending not good either. Cam Talbot, Alex Lyon duo.
Oh, yeah. I think I maybe said quick, like they have not great defense playing in front of not great goaltending. So I apologize that I didn't say your names, Alex Lyman and Cam Talbot, but not psyched about that.
No.
We all silly like the mayor.